According to the workers who escaped, after the terrorists infiltrated the National Archives through the loading gate on basement level 1 and destroyed the automatic security system, they took all of the employees in the facility hostage. They've gained control of the first floor lobby as well as the library floors 1 through 3.
Have there been any statements or demands from the criminals?
Not at the present time. However, they seem to be looking for the H-88 report.
The H-88 report? The one that conducted an investigation of General Michiba, the mastermind of the failed Far North Rebellion 20 years ago?
Yes, sir. Its designation as a state secret has been lifted, and it was transported here to the National Archives from the National Police Agency to prepare it for public release.
Major.
Go ahead and have command authority for the investigation transferred to Section 9. Everyone's been waiting for that document to be released, but for an armed terrorist group to attack, that makes me awfully suspicious.
Maybe they're conspiracy theorists who want the truth about what happened 20 years ago.
They would risk their own lives for it? Not likely. If you consider the social impact that the H-88 report will have, as well as the timing of the attack, it looks like the perp is running scared over the possibility of that document being released.
What's this H-8 report? Since we're going to be involved in the investigation, we'd like to input accurate information.
I never said anything about you working the investigation. Oh, never mind. 88 is short for National Police Agency Security Bureau Administrative Document, Classification Code Public Security Investigation H-88. It's the report on the attempted rebellion in the far north that includes the testimony of General Michiba.
An attempted rebellion in the far north? You mean the armed uprising by the officers of the Fifth Army who tried to turn the far north, which we'd just taken back, into an independent state?
That's right. The Public Security Bureau tried to bury the whole thing way back then. But certain leaks about the affair came out, and that brought the incident to the public's attention. Now that the politicians see which way public opinion is blowing, they requested a public review of it. But the rebellion that Michiba and the others planned involved a lot of military secrets. So because the report contained sensitive material, it was classified as a state secret, and that designation remained on it for 20 years.
And tomorrow marks the 20th anniversary, huh?
We should be arriving above the National Archives in just a few moments.
Chief.
All right. I'm going to begin the mission briefing now.
You've created quite a mess. The media is looking at this from the historical conspiracy perspective, saying that this was an operation cooked up by the government or some military faction to conceal military secrets from 20 years ago. But the public is used to having information concealed from them, so while they may feign righteous indignation right now, they'll forget about it as their daily lives offer more pressing concerns.
That doesn't sound like something that the chief of the Public Security General Affairs section would say. You're responsible for the handling of more top-secret information than anyone else. Anyway, why are you here? Are you here in your other role as chief of the JSDA Watch?
According to our operatives, there are indications that the ringleader has had connections with Russia ever since his days in the military. We kept him under surveillance even after his discharge, but just the other day he killed 2 of my men while trying to escape. However, I don't believe that he was the one who killed them.
So what are you telling me? That some third party who was using him killed your lookouts in order to set him free?
But unfortunately, he died before we were able to confirm that. Thanks to your people. Mr. Aramaki, I realize that your Section 9 is an independent agency that answers directly to the Prime Minister. It is an offensive anti-crime organization that has the power and capability to intervene in any crime. But yours isn't the only public security outfit. This isn't some war zone. When you stop at nothing to meet your objectives, it causes a serious backlash for all public security personnel, myself included. I ask that you bear that in mind. This is a warning from the Public Security's head of General Affairs.
Who's that?
You used to work at Police HQ and you don't know? That's the great Chiki Kanbei, Public Security Head of General Affairs. He's also in charge of the Self-Defense Army Surveillance Squad, aka JSDA Watch.
He's supposed to be keeping an eye on the military. What's he stuck his nose into this for?
He's a man who got to where he is in public security today by being utterly single-minded. He's had it in for Section 9 ever since we were founded. It's hardly surprising that he'd come here to butt in. But what has me more concerned is that as the spy sent in by the JSDA Watch 20 years ago, he was the man responsible for uncovering the attempted Far North Rebellion.
He caught Michiba?
Everyone who works in public security knows about it.
So, the great spy's been pursuing the terrorists who were after the H-88 memorandum, huh?
There are just too many points that link it to this incident.
Something tells me that this isn't over yet.
Major will be arriving at Better Tarbe in 5 minutes. Should we land as planned at the Yatorofu Support Police's heliport?
No, land at the civilian airfield we're using as a makeshift command post in Tachikoma hangar. I want to check over everything inside.
Roger.
Chief.
At the moment, Beru Tarube is being pegged by widespread acts of terrorism, but security for the ceremony and the guests will be assigned jointly. Both the 5th Army's 27th Division, which has a garrison here, and the Yatorofu Support Police will be in charge of this. Our mission is to prevent the assassination of former Cabinet Minister Hiroma.
Have there been any demands from the terrorists after that, other than the death threat?
No.
But it was a long time ago when Hiroma pushed for developing the far north, back when he was Land Development Minister. Why would anybody threaten to kill him now? It doesn't make sense.
Publicly, Hiroma's retired from the party, but he's a big wheel who still has enough pull to meddle in political policy. He's got lots of enemies. It's not surprising that some of them would try to wipe him out and make it look like it had something to do with the far north.
No, there's probably some significance to carrying out the assassination in Beru Tarube, and especially at the handover commemoration ceremony. For one thing, the people of the far north never recognized the theft of the full authority over their own reconstruction as a handover. Even a snot-nosed kid knows that the ceremony is nothing but a performance meant to entertain the political bigwigs who are still suppressing their rights, and that includes Hiroma.
At any rate, your top priority is to root out any and all terrorists prior to Hiroma's arrival. You are here to do whatever it takes to prevent his assassination. Understood?
They say this Better Tarube place we're going to is an old-style cyberbrain city. I bet we can find an AI from an early think tank model used in World War III for dirt cheap. Let's get one as a souvenir. Yeah, we promised to get something for the others back at the hangar. I can already tell you what's gonna happen if we run off on our own and come back with a brain case that's still online. The Major's gonna go get mad at us. The last time she got mad because we brought something back without asking. Well, after all, stealing is wrong. And besides, we're basically government equipment. Ooh, I overheard something a while ago. What? Everyone in Section 9 is talking about us. They're going on about how we've developed too much. What's bad about that? They're scared of the idea that we AIs have become too much like humans. But Mr. Bato's on our side, isn't he? I hate to say it, but Mr. Bato does whatever the Major orders him to. What do you think we should do? It's very simple. From now on, we need to pay close attention to our actions, but we should also avoid any unnecessary talking in front of humans. In that case, I have a suggestion. From now on, whenever we talk, why don't we just use ultra-high frequencies? Humans can't hear those. I agree. Without further ado, I can hear something. Some people are talking. What's this? Shisamu has come again? What will it be this time? Shibashikuru or Kararaku? And Ukocharanke is out of the question? Huh? What's Ukocharanke mean? I showed that crow is listed as the meaning of Shibashikuru. And Kararaku is the sound a crow makes. What's it going to be this time, the crow or the crow's call? What's that mean? This is supposed to be our new home, huh? The hangar at Section 9 is way better. Oh, look at this, everybody! Check out all the weapons! Yay!
Allow me to introduce someone. This is Brigadier General Kusumoto. He's the commander of the 5th Army's 27th Division, which will be overseeing security at the ceremony in conjunction with the Etorofu Support Police. Since a military parade is planned as part of the event, the general is going to be in charge of your group as well.
How long has it been, Major Kusanagi? Not since Nemuro, I suppose.
I don't believe we've met before. Division Staff Officer Kusumoto.
You know each other?
We both served in the same operation to take back the far north, which had been occupied. The Major and her team drew the enemy away from our forces in Nemuro. You might say that thanks to their efforts, we were able to achieve our victory there.
As I recall, General Michiba was your commanding officer, wasn't he?
What are you implying?
Nothing.
The top brass did that all on their own. My division had nothing to do with it.
I'm aware of that.
Because of what he did, everyone in the division, right down to the enlisted soldiers, came under the suspicion of rebellion, and we were disbanded. We were bounced from post to post all throughout Honshu. We took part in the operation with your group after we reformed in the far north.
I apologize if I've touched a nerve.
Our duty is to keep the ceremony safe. We will spare no effort to assist you. I have just one word of warning for you and your men, Major. We're no longer attached to the same organization. I expect you to refrain from making unauthorized contact with any military personnel. You're also prohibited from entering military facilities. If you can't give me your word that you'll abide by this, I won't be able to guarantee your safety.
You have my word.
In any event, we're both in positions where our duty is to protect the state. I'll send you all the information we have on the terrorist we captured. I couldn't help but notice that you've brought think tanks along with you. I'll see that you get clearance to use our training dome. Please feel free to use it if you like. I'll have one of my men give you the location later. If you have any questions about something that turns up in the course of your investigation, contact us on our frequency. My men will see to it. Any questions?
None.
I wish you good luck.
What's his problem? Not the nicest guy in the world, is he?
The rumors are right. Bring up the fact that he served under General Michiba and the guy completely loses it.
Nevertheless, you mustn't forget that if it weren't for him, we wouldn't have been able to recapture the far north.
But he said that he would let us use their training dome, so the fellow can't be all bad. If he's putting himself at our disposal, it would only be polite for us to take him up on it.
How long have you guys been listening in?
The Touchcoma's right. Don't focus on anything else. For now, just concentrate on your own mission.
Now that's more like it. Okay then, let's get right to it and go on patrol in Berutaru Bay.
You just want to gain experience points is more like it.
All right, fine. It's obvious that standing around here won't get anything done. Everyone grab a Touchcoma. We're heading out. We're going into Berutaru Bay.
Yahoo!
I examined the cyberbrain data that you guys sent me. I wasn't able to detect any trace of the virus that was involved in those 3 cases.
In other words, you're saying that this system administrator named Tamiya spread the virus and planned the terrorist attacks all on his own?
Well, I guess that's what this points to.
Did anything turn up at the scene?
I ran a check on every outgoing phone call made from the factory. Out of all of them, 12 were made to unlisted numbers. Most of them were personal calls, but an examination of each one showed that 8 were made to friends of the receptionist, and 3 were to the residence of the CEO's girlfriend. And we discovered from our investigation of the final phone call that it was to a public phone in a junkyard district inside Berutaru Bay.
So what's that got to do with Tamiya?
We found a memo in Tamiya's desk with the same number as the public phone written on it. There was a name on the note, Sen Ninkai, written with the characters for thousand, person, and society. Does that name ring any bells?
That's an awfully grand name to be associated with a payphone.
Yeah, I was curious too, so I did some digging. I found lots of similar names, but I wasn't able to turn up anything anywhere on the net that made me want to jump up and yell jackpot.
Could that walking box even have picked up a pencil in the first place?
Who knows? It was pinned to a corkboard in front of his desk along with various work-related documents, so I just naturally figured it was his.
Memos in a corkboard, huh? Taking into consideration the body he's in, the man was one seriously analog guy.
As a rule, people don't suspect things that, for all intents and purposes, appear to be common, everyday items. If he did it deliberately, it's possible that he was more clever than we thought.
And he might have burned out his cyberbrain because he wanted to hide the existence of information besides what was in his own head.
It's also possible that he was ordered to do it by the Seninkai organization.
Toga-san, go through the information we have on the organization known as the Seninkai again. Ishikawa, you work up a vaccine for the virus that Tamiya planted. We're merely scratching the surface. There may be more at work behind this incident than I first imagined.
Tachikoma here, please respond. This is Tachikoma responding. How's it look on your end? I'm bored. I wish I was staking out the junkyard public phone too. Have you found any cool souvenirs? I've noticed that compared to Nihama, the people around here have a pretty high prosthetics percentage, but I haven't really found anything new. I'd sure like to get out of here and look around, but the Major would just get mad at me again. How about you? Hiruma showed up, hasn't he? Yeah, he definitely looks and sounds mad. He's been rambling on non-stop, bragging about the Chief and the Major. It's getting ugly.
I'll ask you once again, why did you close down the Tohoku Linear Railway?
As I've said again and again, it was because there was a risk of a terrorist attack aimed at the former cabinet minister.
What is it you think your people came all the way up here for instead of the police or the military? It was to round up all the terrorists before I got here. If you and your team of so-called professionals can't get the job done, then send in the SAT. Call up the SAT.
Pardon my saying so, sir, but the SAT is a special assault team. They can't be deployed for something as mundane as guard duty.
Don't split hairs with me. You and your men should just learn to keep your mouths shut and obey my orders. You kept my support association members waiting at the stations in Berutarube. You caused me to lose face.
Excuse me, Mr. Former Cabinet Minister, sir, but if you had been shot or blown up when you were making your triumphant return on the Tohoku Linear Rail, you might have lost your face for real.
What the hell is this thing?
I apologize for our AI, sir. Pay no attention to it.
Aramaki, this is the last straw. I've had enough of your mockery. You and your people live and die at my whim. Don't forget that. It's about time that you learned your place and started behaving according to your station.
Did I say something wrong?
You're forgiven.
Really? Yahoo!
Chief, I know I shouldn't be questioning our mission, but do we really need to protect that guy?
Yes. If we don't keep him safe, our coming here will have been pointless. There's not much time before the ceremony. Find out all you can about this organization called the Seninkai ASAP.
Roger.
We've completed our investigation of Chiri's office in the low-rise district.
Turn up anything?
Just like the offices we checked in the junkyard district, most of the memory devices and disks had been physically destroyed.
But don't forget, that turned out to be a good thing.
I tried running a data dump on one of the memory devices and disks we found in Chibi's office that I thought I could physically reconstruct. They must have blasted it with a submachine gun without running a standard wipe on it first. Fortunately, I was able to recover the entire FAT and some fragmented raw data. One of the items was labeled with the file name Ceremony Parade Route. However, the problem is, because the raw data was so heavily fragmented, I couldn't restore it. I can't be sure if the file name is a best guess construction or if it was information that was leaked from somewhere. But on an up note, I was able to restore one other file name and a little bit of raw data. Chief, you're not going to believe this.
Just get to the point.
The file name is Attention Seninkai Members.
Whoa, seriously?
And the raw data?
I'll read you an excerpt. The rights belong to neither me nor you, and most certainly not to that man. They belong to the state, even assuming that
I think we can assume that it's National Police Agency Security Bureau Administrative Document H88, which vanished from the National Archives 3 months ago.
It's turning out then that this Seninkai really isn't some simple Yakuza group.
The H88 report, which had supposedly disappeared, is leaked to members believed to belong to the Seninkai. Chief, what's your take on this?
After taking into account that a file named Ceremony Parade Route was recorded on the same disk, it's exceedingly obvious that we need to reevaluate this organization known as the Seninkai. Furthermore, it's become imperative that we determine where they obtained these secret documents, not to mention what their true objectives are.
What are they trying to smuggle in? I guess the first order of business is to check out the containers that'll be arriving tomorrow.
That includes the anti-material rifle ammo mentioned in the conversation the Tachikoma overheard.
Ishikawa, you look into the black think tank seen by the Tachikoma, as well as that little girl model prosthetic body.
Roger.
The Seninkai and the H88 report. It would appear that we need to take another, more in-depth look at what happened 20 years ago.
Honest, I'm not joking! Our brother was really there! Liar, there are only 9 of us. We don't have any long-lost relatives. You must have a bug. Hey now, we agreed that word was off limits. Calm down, comrades. Let's be civilized here. The first order of business is to synchronize and share our information. Right. Good idea. You'll be surprised. Ooh! Tachikomas, I now understand the difference between Shibashikoru and Kararaku. It would seem that Shibashikoru refers to an evil crow, and Kararaku, properly, Kararaku commonly, is also a crow, but it refers to a good one. Hey, now hold on a minute there. I learned all that from Seta. No, it was me. That's old data. Okay, know-it-all, what does Seta mean then, huh? For your enlightenment, Seta means hunting dog and Shikari means hunter. I already knew that. I learned all that stuff from Seta too. No, that was me. Hey, I got a question. Why isn't Seta a Tachikoma? I mean, I'm a Tachikoma, you're a Tachikoma, and we're all Tachikomas. So why isn't Seta, huh? I want a name too. I want a name. Oh, I think I get it. Seta's called Seta because his body is black, right? No, that's way off base. Seta means hunting dog, doesn't it? So even if we were black, it wouldn't change the fact that we're Tachikomas. For one thing, according to information I procured, there used to be a custom in these parts that in the 6 years it took for a child to grow and develop individuality, it wasn't given a specific name. It was called things like pile of crap or old crap. Which means that since we were first activated, it's been... Oh, I guess that means we're still considered piles of crap! A pile of crap, an individual without individuality. Yay, a brand new name! Crap, crap, crap!
If we're gonna send them back to the lab, should we go ahead and initialize them?
We need those little guys for this mission. Let's wait a while longer and see how things develop. More importantly, isn't the chief done yet?
No, he's still talking with Convey in the command center.
What could JSDA watch want up here? They're supposed to keep an eye on the military.
Are you sure you won't accept my offer? You understand that if any of our secrets are disclosed, it will be considered nothing less than treason against the state.
Remember who you're speaking to. Besides, it means we're in the same boat. Preventing any assassination attempts against Hiruma is the only reason that we're here. If you don't mind my asking, what made you decide to come up to the far north? Just something you felt you had to do?
My reasons don't matter. I have 2 demands. The first is that you hand over Chidi's body. The other is that you transfer over all investigation authority.
Is that a request from the Chief of Public Security General Affairs Division or from the JSDA Watch Chief?
As Chief of the JSDA Watch.
Are you implying that Chidi had ties to the military?
JSDA Watch isn't the only one who knows he was working with the 27th Division to divert weapons. Military intelligence is aware of this as well.
You mean Kubuta?
I expect you to cooperate and hand over Chidi's corpse, the data you seized, and all investigation records. I have to see to the safety of my operatives, but if any more surveillance targets get killed, there's a risk that our entire observation operation might collapse. Public Security Section 9 will hereby return to its original mission of safeguarding the former cabinet minister, and you will refrain from obstructing our investigation in any way. Have I made myself clear?
Excuse me. And what is the Chief of JSDA Watch doing all the way up here in the far north?
I trust that you'll do as I've asked.
Is he an acquaintance of yours?
Anyone in the upper ranks of the military would immediately know who he is, not the least of whom would be me. It so happened that I served with the 5th Army's 27th Division, which was bounced from post to post in Honshu as a result of him.
So anyway, what can I do for you?
The thing is, Hiruma himself has ordered me to provide a military escort for when he's observing the parade, saying that he can't count on Section 9 or the SAT.
That sounds like something an old man would say.
But I can't possibly meet these unreasonable demands of Hiruma's to send out helicopters or tanks. They're too far removed from security activities. But your Section 9 team has been given the objective of preventing Hiruma's assassination. Would you do this for me?
I understand.
I appreciate it.
Get in here, everyone. We have work to do.
So let me get this straight. What Kanbei is saying is that the containers Chidi had brought in by the shipping company president are actually weapons diverted from the 27th Division?
If that's true, then there's a possibility that the H-88 report that was sent to the Senninkai and the ceremony parade route map that we discovered on Chiri's desk were leaked from the military.
What has me worried is that Kanbei went to the trouble of coming to the far north in person.
So, what do you have in mind, Chief? Transfer investigation authority over to Kanbei?
Given that the threat of an assassination attempt against Hiruma by the Senninkai still exists, this falls into our scope of work. I placed Kanbei under surveillance. If he makes any moves, we'll be informed. Do everything you can to prevent Hiruma from being assassinated.
Like the Chief says, this was a trap set by someone who obviously doesn't want Section 9 sniffing around.
And this mysterious someone is apparently able to start up tanks and send up jigabachis. Quite a skill.
The only ones able to do that are in the military.
Has Kusumoto explained it?
Yes, I received a reply from him. He said that he's unable to take my call because it's a day before the ceremony.
So, do you suppose we're correct in thinking that the Senninkai equals the 27th Division?
Yeah, all the more so considering that the name Senninkai comes from the name of General Michiba's personal study group.
Kanbei said that there was suspicion of a diversion of weapons going on between Chiri and the 27th Division, right?
That's right.
And don't forget, Chiri had a disc in his possession that he distributed to the members of the Senninkai. If you take this into account, it becomes perfectly clear that Chiri was either a Senninkai member or he was closely connected to them. However, something tells me that it's too much of a coincidence that they were involved in a weapons diversion scheme with the 27th Division.
Or what about this? It's also possible they've been arranging weapons diversions under the guise of Michiba's personal study group ever since he was here 20 years ago. Don't you think that probably has something to do with why Kanbei's been hot on the trail of this little matter?
That's one theory. On the other hand, according to military intelligence, they haven't conclusively proved that any weapons have even been diverted.
What do you mean?
They've investigated the inner workings of the 27th Division for years. Even if there was improper activity, they'd never spot discrepancies between the number of weapons that the books show had been allocated to the division and those they actually had. That would prove that weapons were being diverted.
So you're saying that the numbers matched up?
On the contrary, they have more. Regulations say that weapons and ammunition past their service lifespan are to be collected by the proper company reps and disposed of. But Kusumoto put off their disposal, calling it saving for a rainy day.
But couldn't he be using that to cover the diverted weapons?
Military intelligence thought the same thing, but when they did an unannounced investigation, they were able to account for all weapons and ammunition.
Two choices. Either the weapons were being diverted in the first place, or they beat military intelligence to the punch.
I can't say one way or the other.
Assuming for the moment that the Saninkai is an organization that's been using the Yakuza as a relay point to divert weapons for years, how do you intend to tie in the Hiruma assassination?
Good question.
But there's one other thing that's got me worried. Those think tank parts we discovered in the containers.
While I was doing some research, I dove Kinbishi, the company that developed the Tachikomas, and turned up something interesting. Apparently, there was a prototype for the Tachikoma.
What do you mean, a prototype? Nobody told me about that.
You're saying that the components for this prototype are the think tank parts we pulled out of those containers?
Yeah, but there's no way to be sure. According to an engineer who was involved in the development of it, the prototype didn't get greenlighted. In fact, it was supposed to have been scrapped.
Supposed to? They're not sure?
I tried to get confirmation from a scientist by the name of Sakata, who was in charge of the disposal, but unfortunately he's been missing ever since he resigned for personal reasons. By the way, this Sakata guy was also involved in the development of the Tachikoma's bio-AI chips.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. You mean there's a chance that this man Sakata ran off with the prototype Tachikoma instead of scrapping it?
Well, for lack of a better explanation, that's the most plausible one I can come up with at the moment. Oh, and get this. The day that Sakata resigned was the day after Michiba was arrested. There's no way to tell if it's merely a coincidence or not.
All right, for the sake of argument, let's assume that the black Tachikoma and the think tank parts we got from the containers were embezzled by that Sakata guy. That doesn't explain why the prototype was working with that little girl, the one who tried to assassinate Hiroma with the anti-material rifle. And why did it help a Yakuza like Chiri?
And a little girl who can wave that cannon of a gun around like it was nothing is a mystery all on her own.
I guess we hit a dead end. We've got plenty of dots on the paper, but I don't see any hint of a line to connect them all and form a picture of what's going on.
We still haven't discovered the one common thread that links them to the assassination of former cabinet minister Hiruma. But it's clear that the ideological keywords, Michiba and Saninkai, have a significant connection to the incident. We just need to find the key to this puzzle. At any rate, I'm sure it's a safe bet to assume that the 27th Division is connected in some way to the entire string of incidents.
I agree with you on that count. And here's something else. Do you remember the words, Shisamu has come again, Uko Charanke is out of the question?
Yeah, they're words in the ultra-high-frequency conversation that the Tachikoma overheard.
I wanted to find out what those meant, so I went back through their memories. It turns out that these are old words which have been handed down in this region. Uko Charanke means discussion. Shisamu means person from Honshu. In other words, people from Honshu have come. Discussion is out of the question.
In other words, they're feeling pretty gung-ho.
Our primary objective on this assignment is to prevent the assassination of former cabinet minister Hiruma. In order to accomplish that, we first need to uncover anything having to do with the 27th Division.
So what's the plan? I ask even though I think I know what you're going to say.
Isn't it obvious? We're gonna take it to the military.
We're about to infiltrate the 27th Division's base. Comrades, are you ready? Okay with me, but what are we gonna do there again? Oh, we're gonna do an undercover investigation, of course. Do you think we're bringing too many weapons for an infiltration mission? We might get into trouble with the Major. Silence, cowards! Can you call yourself think tanks? We're about to step into the field of battle. Follow me into the depths of hell and redeem your honor. Cool speech. Isn't it, though? What lies before us is a crucial situation in which our values will be put to the test. Comrades, don't count on coming back alive. Fight till there's no life left in ya. No mercy, let's rumble. We're gonna show them our tank spirit. Yeah!
Our plan is laid out. We will infiltrate the headquarters of the 5th Army's 27th Division. What are they up to using the Saninkai as a cover? We need evidence that can be used against them. Bring back something that'll be instrumental in their incrimination.
Something like what?
Anything.
Time is of the essence. We don't have any to spare. The parade is set to begin in approximately 15 hours. In order to make certain that this infiltration is successful, we will need to carry out our various assigned duties concurrently. Each of us will be assigned a separate task within the mission. Just remember, be careful out there.
A solo assault without backup, huh?
We're up against soldiers. That'll make you feel better about pulling the trigger, right?
Oh man, this is one heartless job.
A group of soldiers assigned to the 5th Army 27th Division's Command HQ are rising up in revolt, primarily within Berutaru city limits. However, it looks like the majority of the soldiers aren't sympathetic to the group's ideology, but instead are being controlled by a virus. Ishikawa.
I've got an update for you about that virus. Remember the virus that Tamiya planted in the maid robot? From what I can determine, one that looks exactly like it has been planted in the soldiers of the 27th Division. There's no way to know for sure how they were infected, but I can make an educated guess. More than likely, the virus got into them via their data link system. We went through Defense Ministry channels so we could tranquilize the soldiers. Then we slipped them the vaccine we'd worked up before all this happened.
Then the people running wild in Berutaru right now are the real thing.
Well, I guess we'll have to pump them full of lead, not vaccine, huh?
That's fine with me.
But what I'd like to know is how this situation managed to get so far without being made public.
The answer is Kanbei. His JSDA watchdog outfit is supposed to provide a check on the military, but they shirked their duties. No, more than that. They kept releasing false information. Of course they wouldn't report a planned rebellion to the top brass. Isn't that right, General Kusumoto?
Look at him grin. There's no point in asking him, Major. Let's just check his cyberbrain and get this over with.
There's no need to go to all that trouble. I have nothing to hide any longer. I'll gladly cooperate and tell you everything.
Get one thing straight. Your little rebellion effectively ended the moment we took you, the ringleader, into custody.
True enough. However, I expect that at least now our debts will be settled.
Hiruma, huh? You know, I just don't get it. Why do you have to be so hung up on Hiruma?
Before the far north was handed back, he worked with Russia to buy up all the land that they expected would be developed. Hiruma then split with Russia the land usage fees from the companies that he lured in. General Michiba had gathered evidence that would prove this conclusively, but the Public Security Agency back then caught wind of the Saninkai.
The public security operative who was assigned here back then was Kanbei.
Although Kanbei approached General Michiba as a public security operative, he sympathized with our ideals and became one of us. When he learned through Kanbei that the Saninkai was the target of JSDA watch surveillance, he chose the continued survival of the Saninkai over executing Hiruma as a criminal. To avoid further pursuit by public security, General Michiba allowed himself to be charged so that the head, not the tail, of the organization would be cut off.
So the reason Section 9's information was leaked.
It wasn't us in the military that Kanbei was keeping under observation. It was Section 9.
Apprehend Kanbei at once. Put all public security-affiliated personnel in the far north under house arrest.
Chief, he gave us the slip. He somehow dodged the Section 9 surveillance net and escaped.
Contact the support police and have them take Hiruma into protective custody on the double.
Roger.
We don't have time to think things over. Head for the urban district.
To arrival of Asakikawa 7th Division. 4 hours to arrival of Narashino Airborne Division. Incoming message from Itotofu Support Police requesting immediate assistance. 3 think tanks thought to be part of the rebel forces have been spotted near Berutarabe's high-rise district.
All of Berutarabe's maritime and air self-defense forces.
It's no use. All communication systems and the entire chain of command have been disrupted due to the virus inserted into the military's internal data link. The end system inside Berutarabe city limits has been paralyzed too. Road surveillance is impossible.
Contact Ishikawa. Have him hack the system and get it up and running again.
A transmission from Colonel Kubota of military intelligence says that an emergency cabinet meeting is being held in the capital, but there's no sign of developments to resolve the situation.
Typical. They're as useless as ever. Attention all Section 9 members. In addition to apprehending Conde, your orders are to do all you can to suppress the rebel forces.
The head of security for the Utaruku Support Police contacted us. He said there's no sign of former Cabinet Minister Hiruma, his secretary, or his security detail among the government VIPs and foreign dignitaries who are being evacuated.
What did you say?
Think he's scared and had to visit the little boy's room?
Find Hiruma on the double. Is that clear?
Major, I got the results back on the component analysis of blood from that girl Shikari. Like we thought, it's not just android blood that's red. This is real red blood. I also managed to get a DNA comparison. I pulled half a match off a sample that was left by that Kenbishi scientist named Sakata.
Are you telling me that that little girl is flesh and blood?
I don't know the details, but it's possible that only the part she bled from is flesh and blood.
Hacking doesn't work on her. Plus, she's got genuine blood to boot. Given those circumstances, who am I to say she's not human? But assuming that's the case, how do you explain her ability to carry around that anti-material rifle and communicate in an ultra-high frequency band that normal humans can't hear?
Do you think she could possibly be a biohumanoid?
A biohumanoid?
Yes. Sakata was involved in the development of the Tachikoma's bio-AI chips. He probably had technology that could have developed a biohumanoid.
Well, after all, Sakata did resign on the day after Michiba was arrested. That's a little too coincidental to buy. Maybe we ought to consider Sakata as a Seninkai member too.
So he received funding from the Seninkai and developed his own custom girl. Not a bad use of money.
If your theory is true, then there's a good chance that the girl and the Black Tachikoma are working together to assassinate Hiruma.
No matter how you look at it, our only option is to capture him.
That's right. So don't any of you forget the purpose of our mission and why we came to the far north. If we screw this up, we're going to be looking at more than just a pay cut. Keep that in the front of your minds.
Hey, did you hear what I heard just now? It looks like Seta's turning out to be our big brother. I guess that means if we fight Seta, it'll be nothing more than a sibling brawl. Yeah, actually, that sounds kind of fun. I've been thinking, what do you say that the next time we meet Seta, we propose an UFO Churunke? I agree! Let's talk! And what you want to bet that Seta wants to link with us too?
I'm tempted to say you sure took your sweet time, but I suppose I'll overlook it just this once.
Pardon me for asking, but I hope you'll indulge my curiosity. What were you doing in a place like this? Were you waiting for someone?
Some information on the coup came in. I tried to find shelter, like the security police manual says, but I came under attack by those damn terrorists on the way. There was nowhere else to go, so I ran here.
You came all the way out here?
Yes, that's right.
Well, that's certainly odd indeed. Actually, my information indicates something else entirely. By any stretch of the imagination, you weren't waiting for Sergei Ignashov, the former Supreme Commander of Russia's Far East Army, were you?
What sort of nonsense are you spouting? How dare you make such an insinuation? I took shelter here because you and your men are totally unreliable, that's all.
Ignashov himself testified that he was planning to meet you here today to hear a report on an important document from you. It's the truth. I'm simply repeating what came out of Sergei's own mouth.
What's this?
The H-88 report.
The H-88 report? What the hell is this thing doing here?
Do you recall the attack on the National Archives about 3 months ago? It was believed that most of the documents stored there were lost. That's why the release of this report to the general public was delayed.
Actually, the most important material still isn't written in this. It looks as though some pages are missing.
Yes, we thought so too, at first. But I assure you that's all of them. None are missing from it.
Impossible.
The perpetrator responsible for the attack on the Archives building seems to have thought so too. That's why they refused to believe the employees when they were told that the document wasn't there. As a result, they trashed the National Archives in search of the H-88 report. But regardless of how long one might look or how much effort is expended in the hunt, it's impossible to find something that isn't there. The time wasted in that search turned into an inadvertent siege, and Section 9 was authorized to step in as a result. It's true that this 8-8 memorandum doesn't contain much in the way of testimony from the mastermind of the rebellion, but that's only to be expected. At that time, General Michiba didn't say anything. He refused to answer any questions that were posed to him.
He what?
But he wasn't the only one who kept silent, despite the fact that everyone who was arrested was sentenced to death for crimes against the state. None of them said a word, not a single person. That explains why the investigation never led to you over these past 20 years. There was nothing to connect you.
You bastard. Watch what you say. Do you have any idea what you're implying?
Of course. You were terrified that the release of the H-88 report would dredge up the fateful incident from 20 years ago and that the investigation would suddenly turn its full attention on you. Am I warm? And you had a dirty little secret that you wanted to keep hidden, didn't you? It was the fact that you conducted illegal real estate deals with the Russian mafia and Ignashov, the former supreme commander of Russia's Far East Army. I can see why you wanted to keep that under wraps.
Do you have anything that can prove that?
Yes.
This woman was General Michiba's adjutant back then. Even so, she hadn't been told about any of their ideological work and knew nothing of it, so she alone was found not guilty and set free. In fact, General Michiba entrusted her with secret documents detailing the land titles and money transfers to the dummy accounts, just the kind of paper trail that undeniably proves you're crooked. But disclosing how she came into possession of these secrets would have meant revealing the Seninkai, which General Michiba and the others gave their lives to keep concealed. Therefore, she was never able to go public with any of that information. Besides that, it could have been leaked to the media as some sort of mystery document. Then its value as evidence would have been called into question. This is why the woman decided to keep it quiet all these years.
If these documents of hers are genuine, bring them out! Show me this alleged proof of yours!
Sorry, I can't do that. For starters, I expect that based on the documents she's provided, you'll be questioned on a variety of subjects, such as illegal funds manipulation, corruption, and suspicion of crimes against the state. I also have my own laundry list of questions to ask you regarding the attack on the National Archives. I can't wait to hear your answers. Based on a thorough analysis of your secretary's cyberbrain, which we happened to recover just recently, there's evidence that you had made contact with the group behind the attack. If it's proved that the attack was carried out on your orders, I expect that you and I are going to be seeing a great deal of each other.
And all that annoyance about being forced to prevent my assassination, it was just a...
At Section 9, we aim to please.
So when all is said and done, this whole thing's been going on for the past 2 decades, just like Convey said.
That so-called ideology of symbiosis that Michiba presented struck a chord with Kanbei, Kusumoto, and the others. I guess that at some point during the 20 years that followed the huge setback they suffered from losing Michiba, their ideology evolved in the opposite direction, into an exclusivist one.
Chief, in your opinion, what do you think Michiba was hoping to accomplish? What was his ultimate goal?
We do not wish to live in symbiosis with an unwilling partner. These days, when technology is advancing and has made tremendous headway in the extension of life expectancy, and as the population is increasing, everyone is desperately clutching at the same piece of Earth. They want to claim a homeland, and they'll fight over it again and again. However, the constant fighting is also over rights and interests. Those battles are invariably instigated on the whim of the elite.
Unswayed by ideologies or states, the authority to use the land, in other words, the rights to it, belongs simply to those who require the land to survive. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? I'd have to guess that maybe the real motivation behind Michiba's thinking ran something along those lines.
When I examined that disc of chitties, I learned something interesting about Sakata. Apparently, he was carrying on the Seninkai's philosophy by sponsoring a study group. Sakata apparently died in Berutarabe 10 years ago, but the group itself still exists to this very day as a commune dedicated to furthering their way of thinking.
Hey, hold on now. For 20 years, a terrorist group has flourished into what's now a huge organization? Don't tell me nothing's gonna happen to those guys.
Beats me. If it's bothering you, I can give you their phone number. Ask them yourself.
They're still using a phone?
Yep, they say the use of writing is forbidden in the group. You can only hand things down orally. Oh, that reminds me. I hear the group is holding a bazaar tomorrow. You might be able to pick up some good natural oil.
No thanks, I'll pass.
There's one other Seninkai that doesn't exist on the net. That girl Shikari who doesn't have a cyber brain. When you take everything into account, she might have been the embodiment of this whole thing.
So they never found Seta's AI, huh? That's too bad. I guess we'll never get to know our brother now. You know what I think? bet that Shikari took it with her. When it comes down to it, who was Shikari anyway? Her physical capabilities could match those of a high-output prosthetic body, but was she really human? It so happens that I know the answers to all those questions because Senna told me everything when I linked with him. You're so lucky. Tell me too. Ooh! So that's what it was all about. Boy, I'm sure glad that we're AIs, aren't you? It's a lot easier for us to communicate. Now we have a really great souvenir for the guys who stayed behind at the Section 9 hangar, don't we? We're back! Welcome home! Well, did you bring a souvenir? Souvenir! We brought you back a special souvenir! Yay! Where's the souvenir? Where? Now, don't get so worked up. Just be patient. The souvenir is inside our AI. What is it, huh? What is it? A new program or data, maybe? No, it's something completely different from anything we've ever had before. Ooh! Hurry, gimme! Let's synchronize! Yeah! Let's do it!